for some mysterious reason, switched to Burger King. Who knows why? But it's added up to millions of switchers. Maybe even
you.
At the stroke of midnight on January 1st, the new year was born, and so was the new Northwestern Bell. We're the same company in all the right ways, and we have nearly 20,000 employees all ready to go on serving you. At the same time, we're looking forward to the new opportunities we now have to meet all your telecommunications needs. The new Northwestern Bell. We're making our New Year's evolution to serve you better than ever before.
A fast bank won't listen to your troubles, but when you're out of cash and low on gas, you want speed, not sympathy. A fast bank won't greet you by name, but when you're 20 minutes late, you want money, not recognition. A fast bank won't smile and say hello, but at 3 in the morning, neither would you. Fast bank. What it lacks in personality, it makes up for in long hours.
some things speak for themselves.
We're between periods of the Edmonton Oilers and the North Star game tonight, and with me right now is injured left winger Tom McCarthy. Tom, I guess the big question, first of all, is what happened to you around the holidays, around the Christmas day? Where were you?
Well, I was at home in Burnsville. There was a lack of communication deal between training staff and myself, which inflicts on my responsibility. And I think it was just a situation that really got blown out of proportion. And everything's fine now, and it's sort of like an old horse. It's dead. It's over with.
You had to be a little worried when you sat down and listened to the broadcast that night on radio and found out that you were had been reported as being a missing person.
Exactly. I wasn't aware of it until the time, and then immediately I got a hold of them in Winnipeg, and everything was straightened around. And it was a situation that wasn't planned in any fashion, but it took place, and it's over with, like I said. And I think nobody's going to bring it up anymore. And it was just a certain situation that got blown out of proportion.
How about your injury? You were injured in Hartford, but I didn't certainly see it. When did it occur, and how did it happen?
It really was bothering me about a week before the actual time that I've sat out now, 10 days. But it's just from a body check of some kind where it jolted a vertebrae in my back and put it out of place a little. And through some therapy and things, it had a chance to, work its way back to normal.
What type of therapy are you taking? Are you able to skate at all?
I began skating 2 days ago and with the team yesterday, and so it's going a little better. I was off the ice completely for 10 days, and the therapy I've been receiving is hot packs and muscle stimulators and whirlpools and things of that nature to loosen the action of the vertebrae cutting down on nerves and muscles like it did.
There's so much competition amongst players nowadays that getting back in the lineup can be very tough at times.
Yeah, it is difficult, especially with the roster of our teams. It's got a great amount of depth, but I feel only being out of the game off the ice 10 days, I really haven't lost too much, and with a little extra work for myself, riding a bike and things of this nature will hopefully sustain whatever shape I had.
Tommy, you, along with Neil Broughton and Dino Cicerelli, have had such a great start at getting a lot of points, yet recently your line and also the team seemed to sour a little bit, or go a little sour, failing to get the goals when they had to, the breakup of that line. How do you look at that?
I look at it with a good reaction. Earlier in the year, we tried lots of different combinations amongst the players, and I think that benefits us now when there is a change to be made, and there's been an adjustment throughout all the lines on the team. It gives us a little versatility and experience from playing with each other earlier in the year, and sometimes it's necessary, and we have to get back to work ethic where we all work together, and when it starts to spread away, we make changes so that everybody starts from scratch one again.
When you play with guys like that, you get to know their patterns, their habits, and so on. All of a sudden, you're thrown into a new line combination. Does it take you quite a while or quite a bit of communication to put it all together?
It definitely does take quite a bit of communication. The biggest thing is going to the guys. If you have a new line mate, the biggest advantage is maybe going to the guys that he played with prior to coming onto your line and find out a little style from them, and the communication between one another helps.
Before you do make a line change, as far as players are concerned, does a coach ever talk to you about, what you think might be a good combination?
He does throw around the ideas. I think if collectively we have individual meetings and we have that opportunity to voice our opinion, but naturally that's what the coach is paid for, to make those decisions, and a little advice never hurt, but it's his decision, so whatever is made, we do best with what we have.
We're with Tom McCarthy. We'll be right back after this timeout.
Broadcasting is a job you'll like. Radio announcers enjoy creative work in a variety of assignments. Opportunities for advancement are unlimited. Work with music, work with other stimulating people. Now's the time to start. And Brown Institute in Minneapolis is the place. Call 721-2481 now. Brown's experience will prepare you in less than a year. Call 721-2481 now.
Hi, Doll. Easy for typing that report. Again.
Miss Smith, please type in one itsy-bitsy change, please.
No matter what type of boss you have, with a Panasonic 708 electronic typewriter, you won't have to retype. Its 8K memory stores what you've typed. Type in the corrections, and it does the retyping for you. So when your boss requests the word,
Where's that letter?
Thank you.
it's time for a Panasonic.
CDP means Office Systems.
This is Russ Bohatty for Ron and Allie's Pizza. Out on the ice with North Star goaltender Gilles Millage.
Ross, that last shot went in, but this I'll save. Because I'm French doesn't mean I don't like Italian food. I go to Ron and Allie's and I love it.
So why don't you do like North Star goaltender Gilles Millage does? Go to Ron and Allie's Pizza at the corner of White Bear Avenue and Minnehaha in St. Paul, or call 735-4944. That's 735-4944.
The TNT Championship Hot Rod Pull, coming to St. Paul Civic Center Arena, January 13th and 14th. See the lightning, hear the thunder, feel earth-shaking horsepower. The sanctioned event of the TNT National Championship Pulling Circuit, presented by Go-Go the Gorilla, January 13th and 14th. Tickets at the Civic Center box office at all Dayton's. Listen to Rock Radio 101 for details.
KMSP TV, Minneapolis. Tom Reed back here with Tom McCarthy in between periods. And Tom, a lot of players during the course of the year spend all their time devoted solely to hockey. You've got a little bit of a different occupation away from the rink.
Yeah, just recently I founded a restaurant in Minneapolis, in South Minneapolis, and it's a fish and chip place that's kind of small and quaint, but we have sit-in and take-out orders, and it's going very well.
I've been fortunate to go over there and have a little bite to eat. It's unusual to find the Canadian style where you have the vinegar on the table. People often wonder down here, why do you have vinegar with fish and chips?
It's just, I guess, a counter-reaction as much like lemon is to fish. It just adds a little taste to it and a little zing. It's a Canadian tradition, I'm sure. But myself, I eat it that way, and I crave it a lot, so that's gave me the inkling to get the restaurant going.
What do you do in the restaurant?
My job is as equal as anyone else's. I try my hand at cooking once in a while, not as often as my brother and my father, but I do some bus work on the tables and wait at times. Sometimes you work the cash, whatever's necessary to be made or done at the time. I do dishes or cook burgers and make shakes, whatever somebody needs a hand at. Basically, everybody's, I guess you could say, educated to do everybody else's job there, so it works out well.
Do you get quite a reaction from your clientele when you go in there, or they go in there and they find out you're bussing tables or waiting on them?
Yeah, I think it's more of a shock to them, but to me it comes natural all my life. I had to participate that way in family functions, and this is a family function, so it really makes it's natural for me to do those things. My folks had prior owned a business much similar that served people with food and things, and I had to participate then, so things haven't changed much at all.
And the name of your restaurant as well?
It's McCarthy's Just for the Halibut.
It's a good place to eat. I've been there. Back to the game. How would you analyze your play of the first half of the season?
Personally, I've been fortunate enough to put the puck in the net a little more often than I have in the past. Collectively, I'd like to participate more in team-wise help in that sense. But personally, I think things have been going very well. Hopefully, for the second half of the season, things will continue this way, and I can keep the same work habits to make that happen.
Last year, you had such a strong start in the first half, picking up 48 points. In the second half, you dipped down to 28 points, I believe it was. Does that stick in your mind a little bit?
Definitely does. It might be a notch against my ability to last 80 games. So last year was the first time I did play all 80 games, and this year I'm going to strive to continue the same way I did the first 40 as I do the second 40. And not that the little rest is going to hurt me at all. I just have to work a little harder to continue that success.
You mentioned about being able to play in all 80 games, something you haven't been able to do very much last year, of course you did, but the injuries certainly have plagued you since you broke into the National Hockey League.
Yes, I've been subject to some severe injuries that have kept me out 40 games my third season, and practically 26 in my second half, my second season, which kept me out of the playoffs, which that year we went to the Stanley Cup Finals. And it does get a little monotonous and harsh on the mind, so you have to work at things to counteract so that you can stay healthy for the 80 games. It's very important and vital to one's character to stay and play as many games as you can and try to stay off the injured reserve list.
The game tonight against Edmonton is the North Stars' 39th game. Tomorrow night in Calgary will be their 40th game. How would you assess the first half of the season as far as the team is concerned?
The team, collectively, we've been going well at times. We've had sort of a seesaw season. We started off very slow. I think the transition of new coaching and new player clientele amongst everyone had to pan out a bit, and once things got set in a certain way, we started to react very well. As of late, like we chatted about the line changes, I think it was necessary because things were getting a little sour, and the change sometimes is necessary. And I think with the versatility of our team to change like that, and Bill's knowledge to make the changes when necessary, I think we'll react to it and hopefully have a strong second half.
Very quickly, you mentioned the second half. I would think that the players have become more accustomed to Bill Mahoney and his style of play.
I think so, too. I think familiarity between the coach, the toughest job was probably for the coach to change find out 25 different styles of hockey and put it into a team aspect. For us, we have to learn one man, and I think our job is a little easier to learn his style than for him to learn all ours. So I think the adjustment has panned out very well amongst ourselves and him, and hopefully and fortunately, I think everything will go well.
Tom, I hope it goes well for you, too. If you ever need a ride to the airport to make sure you don't miss that plane, just give me a call. Tom Reed, Tom McCarthy will be back up to Bob Kurtz right after this timeout.
It isn't easy to buy a Saab. Other cars promise the reassurance of status, or the security of practicality, or the panache of performance. Yet for all those who find it far easier to follow the wisdom of the crowd, there are a growing number willing to follow their own wisdom.
Maury's Imports, Highway 12, Minnetonka, across from Ridgedale.
Let's see, beef bouillon with potatoes lyonnaise, or hamburger and fries. You know, it's nice to have a choice. like the choice TCF gives you on installment loans. You can choose between a fixed interest rate loan or the lower monthly payments of a variable interest rate installment loan. Your choice. No wonder folks are singing the praises of TCF.
Championship Hot Rod Pull, coming to St. Paul Civic Center Arena, January 13th and 14th. See the lightning, hear the thunder, feel earth-shaking horsepower. A sanctioned event of the TNT National Championship Pulling Circuit, presented by Go-Go the Gorilla, January 13th and 14th. Tickets at the Civic Center box office at all Daytons. Listen to Rock Radio 101 for details.
Time takes you beyond the news.
Time flies, and you are there. Time cries and lets you care. You understand the world we share.
This week in Time, Pope John Paul pardons his would-be assassin, delivering to a violent and troubled world an extraordinary example of forgiveness.
Read time and understand.
Tom Reed and Bob Kurtz back here at the Northlands Coliseum in Edmonton, Alberta, and we have had a lot of goals scored in tonight's hockey game. The Edmonton Oilers leading the Minnesota North Stars by a margin of 10-6, and it was a total of 24 shots taken by both teams now, 12 in the first period by each team, and they equaled that in the second period, 12 more shots by each team. But Edmonton scoring 5 goals in the first period against Donnie Beaupre. The North Stars responding with 2 goals against Grant Fear in the second period. Gilles Meloche came in net for Minnesota. He was also peppered with 5 goals in the 12 shots. But the North Stars responded with 4 goals against Grant Fear. And Wayne Gretzky, what a show he has put on here tonight. 4 goals and 4 assists. And you can see why he's the leading scorer in the National Hockey League. He now has a total of 125 points in the 40 games he's played. Over 3 points a game. Gilles Meloche once again getting the starting call in this third period as he did in the second period. And he's got to feel a little bit frustrated, as I'm sure his teammates are as well, not getting a lot of protection. But it just seems right now, Bob, that no matter what's being shot, it's going in the net.
I always get the idea that he might have lost the coin flip with Beaupre. See who's going to play the third period. They have had almost no protection at all from Wayne Gretzky. You see there, they have had just phenomenal opportunities. We're going through the books trying to figure out what was the most goals ever scored in the National Hockey League. 2 teams, 1 game. We'll pass a lot of the stuff along to you. The North Stars have they were involved in a 10-9 game with Vancouver, the second game of the year. They were involved in an 11-2 loss to Quebec up in Quebec City.
Well, you talk about the most goals ever scored. It was back in January the 10th, 1920. 21 goals were scored when the Montreal Canadiens defeated the Toronto St. Patrick's by a score of 14-7. And we're not too far away from that right now. With the 16 goals we've had scored, we're averaging 8 goals a period, so it's a possibility that these 2 teams could break that record that was established back in 1920.
Well, years ago, the North Stars beat Winnipeg 15-2.
Maybe it's going to be one of those games where last shot wins, the way things are going.
Now here we go, period number 3. It is 10-6 in favor of Edmonton. Giles spinning in his own zone, working the puck back out to center ice. Stars twice have come back from big deficits here as Fuhrer knocks it away. 5-2 at one time. Stars clawed their way back to 7-6. Edmonton right now with a 4-goal margin, 10-6. Play at center ice. Flood has returned. McClellan battling there with Giles. Played back to the Edmonton line. Now Kevin Lowe for the Oilers. Getting it ahead for Dave Hunter. Taken away is Cicerelli. He was knocked flying at the line. And McClellan getting it across. And Fogelin getting it out to center. Pat Hughes working it over now to McClellan. McClellan getting it across the line. A play whistle down offside. Now we got Ashton, Cicerelli, Lowe, and McClellan there. I'm just going to mention the fact that Mark Napier and Pat Hughes are brother-in-laws, as Napier married Pat Hughes' sister.
Well, Cicerelli hit McClellan there a little bit, and I think a few of the players didn't think that was right. The whistle had already gone, but he was in the motion already to hit him. We'll try and pick it up once again right along the boards there.
there's a little bit of a butt end, it appears, coming from McClellan as well. To Cicerelli, but no further altercations have taken place.
So we have 19 minutes and 18 seconds to go. Third period, 6 for the North Stars, but 10 up on the board for the Edmonton Oilers. They have George Ferguson, the North Stars do at center. Al McAdam on the right side. And Brian Lawton on the left as off the faceoff. Edmonton sends the puck into the North Star zone. Lawton battling over there with Curry on the far side. Hartsburg is there for Minnesota. And Hartsburg will start out George Ferguson. Ferguson coming out to center ice. Rolling it across the line. Charlie Huddy breaks it up. Gets it over for Paul Coffey. Coffey for the Oilers out to center ice. Lawton now controls for the North Stars. Off for the Ohio State grad, Big Dan Mandich. Back out to center ice. Huddy dropping it deeper into the Edmonton zone. Paul Coffey out for Wayne Gretzky at center. Now Gretzky, who has put on quite a show, off for Coffey across the line. Lawton knocking it back out to center. Lawton going down the left side. Bumped there by Huddy as play goes back into the North Star zone. We've gone a minute and a half here in the third period with no goals. As Ferguson now carries out to center. Ferguson for the North Stars. He hit Huddy with that. Huddy poking it ahead now for Curry. Curry's pass was picked off by Gordy Roberts. Gordy Roberts was shadowed over there by Hozar, getting it off for Mandich. Mandich out for center and back into the Edmonton zone.
I think Mandich was just trying to make a clearing attempt there, getting the puck down the ice. He had no one to give it to.
North Stars come up with the puck in the Edmonton zone. We're 2 minutes into the third period, 10-6 in favor of the Edmonton Oilers. Lisbon rolling the puck back to center. Broken up there by Gordy Roberts. Roberts off for Maxwell. Maxwell getting it back for Keith Acton. Acton carrying into the zone. Acton marking right. He scores! Keith Acton lets a wrist shot go from the slot. And the North Stars pick up the first goal here in the third period. It comes at 2:20, and it makes it a 10-7 game.
Well, he made a good move here as he cut back to his left after being hooked there a little bit by Kenny Lisbon. Unleashes a good wrist shot, and he just catches the inside the pipe here. And you can see the goaltender, Grant Pierre, very slow to move on that particular shot. But Keith Acton of the North Stars has scored his 11th goal of the season, his eighth goal since joining the North Stars. And the time of the goal, as Bob mentioned, 2:20.
During the regular season, here's a chance for the Stars again out in front. As Edmonton will come out to center ice, this is Messier. Messier rolling it across the North Star line. Brian Fellows goes back for Minnesota. And play finally is whistled down. We got a penalty being called here by Ron Wicks. Tonight's broadcast comes your way from the Northlands Coliseum.
This bud's for everyone who takes the power and sends it down the line.
This bud's for you. For all you do, the king of beers is coming through.
Yeah, just for you. That distinctively clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser.
For all you do, this bud's for you.
Well, just 24 seconds after Keith Acton has scored for the North Stars, Edmonton picks up a holding penalty going against Anderson at 2:44, and he'll get a little bit of a rest in that penalty box. The North Stars have scored the only goal in this period, trying to make a comeback here, behind 4 goals going into the period, but they've narrowed that gap to 3 goals on the goal by Acton at 2:20, his 11th of the season.
Well, Boston had that phenomenal edge in the after 2 periods, and they took the lead into the third. They hadn't lost all year. Stars came up with 4 goals in the Boston Garden back in late December to beat the Bruins by a score of 4-2. Edmonton hasn't lost a game in the third period in the last 2 years. They're 62-0-5 when they take a lead into the third period.